She's got the bags, the looks, the followers, but what happens when a slay queen refuses to bathe for months? Stay tuned, you won't believe the shocking twist. Before we dive in, if you're someone who loves behind-the-scenes drama and real-life twists, make sure to hit that like button. You're about to join a community that gets into the wildest stories and the life lessons they bring. Chioma was a 24-year-old social media influencer. She lived in a luxury apartment in Lagos. She had expensive bags, designer clothes, and the latest phones. Her fans followed her daily on Instagram and TikTok. She posted videos of her lifestyle, expensive makeup, and trips to luxury hotels. Everyone admired her beauty and wealth. Chioma never took showers. She thought bathing was a waste of time. She believed her body was fine because she used expensive perfumes and body sprays. She often said in her videos that soap was for regular people, not for a slay queen like her. She enjoyed being different from other influencers. Her apartment was full of designer items. The furniture looked expensive and the decorations were beautiful. But there was a strong smell in the rooms. Her makeup artist and visitors noticed it, but Chioma ignored their complaints. She thought they did not understand her lifestyle. Every morning she would wake up late and post on social media. She applied makeup but never cleaned her body. She wore the same outfits for many days without washing them. Her fans sometimes made jokes about her appearance, but she laughed at them and made videos showing off her designer items instead. Chioma had many friends who were also influencers. They invited her to photo shoots and brand events. Some friends told her to shower before attending events. She refused. She said she did not need their advice. She thought washing was unnecessary for someone important like her. She had one helper named Ngozi. Ngozi worked in the apartment for 2 years. She cleaned the apartment and tried to help Chioma. Ngozi asked Chioma to bathe several times but Chioma ignored her. Ngozi worried about Chioma's health but could not convince her. Chioma liked creating viral content. One day she started a trend called #NoShowerLife. She encouraged her followers not to shower for 2 weeks. She said it was a new lifestyle trend. Many of her fans joined the challenge and it went viral. Some of Chioma's neighbors complained about the smell from her apartment. They said it was strong and made the corridor unpleasant. Chioma ignored them. She said she paid her rent so she could live as she wanted. She also ignored warnings from older women she met. One day an older woman selling beauty products told her to wash her body. The woman said that Chioma would face problems if she did not clean herself. Chioma laughed and called the woman jealous. By now Chioma's apartment had strong smells. The perfume and sprays she used did not cover it. Insects started to appear and some food in her fridge spoiled because she never cleaned properly. Chioma still did not care. She was confident that being rich and beautiful was enough to protect her from any problem. Chioma woke up one morning and noticed her clothes felt sticky. She had worn the same dress for 4 days. She ignored it and put on a fresh designer tracksuit. She thought the smell would not matter because she had sprayed her expensive perfume all over her body. She went to make breakfast. Some fruit had mold on it because she left it on the counter for too long. She did not care. She cut around the mold and continued eating. The smell of the apartment was strong, but Chioma did not notice it herself. When she posted a video that morning, her fans started to comment on a strange smell. Some said they could almost smell her through the screen. Others joked that she should start bathing. Chioma laughed at these comments. She told her followers it was part of the #NoShowerLife and called them broke and jealous. Ngozi came into the room with a worried face. She told Chioma that insects were everywhere and that the food was rotting. Ngozi said the smell was getting worse and that visitors were avoiding the apartment. Chioma ignored her. She said nothing was wrong. She thought she knew better than everyone else. At lunch, Chioma ordered expensive food delivery. The delivery man covered his nose when entering her apartment. Chioma noticed him looking uncomfortable but thought he was just being rude. She smiled and gave him money anyway, not understanding that the smell was the real problem. By afternoon, Chioma felt itchy on her arms and neck. She scratched thinking it was a heat rash. The itching spread, but she did not examine her skin. She sprayed more perfume and kept filming videos. She wanted her followers to see her as confident and beautiful. Later that day she received a direct message from a follower. The message showed a screenshot of small worms moving on her neck from her livestream. Chioma looked at the image and laughed. She thought it was edited. She showed it to Ngozi, who warned her that she should clean her skin immediately. Chioma still did not take the warning seriously. At dinner, Chioma hosted a small gathering for her influencer friends. Some of them noticed the smell and complained quietly. Chioma laughed and said it was her unique lifestyle. They stayed because they wanted to maintain connections, but they were uncomfortable. They whispered to each other about how dirty the apartment had become. By the evening, Chioma felt weak. She did not know why. She thought it was because she had not eaten enough. Ngozi told her that the smell and lack of hygiene could make her sick. Chioma still ignored the advice. She went to her bedroom and prepared to go live for her fans. During the live stream, some viewers commented that her skin looked red and bumpy. Others said there were tiny worms moving on her body. Chioma laughed and said it was all part of the #NoShowerLife. She did not understand that this was the first real sign that something was seriously wrong. The next morning, Chioma woke up feeling itchy all over her body. Her neck, arms, and legs had red bumps. She looked at herself in the mirror but told herself it was nothing serious. She did not want to admit that her skin was showing signs of a problem. She got dressed in a fresh outfit but did not wash. She used more perfume than usual. Chioma believed that covering the smell and irritation with expensive scents would make everything fine. She wanted to stay confident for her social media followers. During breakfast, Ngozi reminded Chioma again about her skin and hygiene. She said that the bumps could get worse and that the insects in the apartment could carry disease. Chioma ignored her and told Ngozi to focus on cleaning the apartment instead of worrying about her. Chioma decided to make another video for Instagram. She wanted to show off her new designer bag and shoes. She filmed for more than an hour. Some viewers commented about her red and itchy skin. Others mentioned a strange movement on her neck. Chioma laughed and said it was just bad lighting from the camera. She did not want to admit anything. By afternoon, the bumps on Chioma's skin began to hurt. Small scratches and marks appeared, but she covered them with her hands or her clothes. She told herself that this was normal and that no one would notice. She refused to take a shower. Her friends came over in the evening for a small party. They noticed a strong smell in the apartment. They also saw the red bumps and scratches on Chioma's skin. Some whispered to each other that she should visit a doctor. Chioma laughed and said she was fine. She told them that looking good was more important than hygiene. At dinner, some flies landed on Chioma's food. She waved them away but did not consider that the flies were attracted to the mess in her apartment. She ate anyway, thinking that as long as the food was expensive it was safe. She ignored Ngozi's warning that this could make her sick. Later that night, Chioma checked her phone. Several viral videos showed close-up shots of her skin during live streams. Viewers were commenting about worms moving on her body. Chioma laughed, still thinking it was edited or fake. She told herself that no one could really see anything. She felt tired and weak, but she did not stop posting videos. She kept filming for her followers, showing her lifestyle, wealth, and confidence. She refused to wash or seek help. Her beauty and pride kept her in denial about the real problem. Ngozi watched her carefully. She wanted to force Chioma to see a doctor, but she feared that Chioma would fire her. Ngozi stayed silent but worried more every hour. She could see that the situation was getting dangerous. By midnight, Chioma went to sleep. Her body itched badly, but she thought it was only a temporary problem. She did not know that ignoring her hygiene and the early signs on her skin was making the problem worse. The next morning, Chioma woke up feeling pain in her arms and neck. The red bumps from before had grown larger. Some of them had small holes in the center. She looked at them closely but did not want to admit they were serious. She told herself it was just irritation. She got dressed and applied a lot of perfume to cover the smell from her body. She wore long sleeves to hide the bumps. Chioma wanted to look perfect for her social media followers. She believed that as long as she looked good on camera, nothing else mattered. Ngozi reminded her again about her skin. She said the bumps looked infected and that Chioma needed to bathe and see a doctor. Chioma refused. She said she was fine and told Ngozi not to worry. She said she would wash later, but later never came. During her live stream that day, Chioma noticed some movement on her neck. Small worms were crawling on her skin. At first she thought it was a camera problem. She moved her head to see them better. The worms were real. She froze for a moment, shocked, but then quickly covered them with her hair and laughed for the camera. Her followers noticed something strange in the live stream. Many commented about the worms. Some even said she needed medical help. Chioma laughed and claimed it was part of the #challenge. She said the worms were fake and that the video was edited. She wanted her fans to see her as confident, not afraid. Ngozi was worried. She told Chioma that ignoring the problem would make it worse. She explained that the worms could come from dirty skin and that they could damage her body. Chioma ignored her. She said she had money and could solve any problem later. By evening, the smell in the apartment was stronger than ever. Neighbors complained again. Her friends noticed the bumps and the worms moving on her skin. They whispered to each other and told Chioma privately that she needed help. She laughed and said she was fine. She did not believe anyone could understand her lifestyle. Chioma tried to sleep, but the itching and pain kept her awake. She scratched her skin, making the wounds worse. The small worms moved under her clothes. She felt uneasy, but she refused to see a doctor. She thought doctors would judge her for not bathing. Ngozi stayed near her, afraid to leave. She cleaned the apartment and tried to prevent the worms from spreading, but it was too late. The infestation on Chioma's skin had already grown. By midnight, Chioma finally went to bed. She was tired and weak. She felt afraid for the first time, but she did not act. She still believed that ignoring the problem would make it disappear. She did not understand that the worms were growing and that her health was in serious danger. The next morning, Chioma woke up feeling very weak. Her skin was red, itchy, and painful. The worms were moving more visibly, especially on her neck and arms. She tried to hide them with clothes and makeup, but it was getting harder. She decided to record a video for TikTok and Instagram. She wanted to show her fans that she was still confident. During the live stream, viewers immediately noticed the worms moving on her skin. Comments appeared rapidly, warning her to clean her body and seek medical help. Some of her fans started sharing screenshots of her live stream. The images of the worms went viral on other social media platforms. People called her the Slay Queen who never showers. Many jokes were made and her reputation started to decline. Chioma laughed at first. She said it was all part of a viral challenge. She posted more videos trying to act normal. She said she was fine and that people were exaggerating. But deep down she was worried. She did not understand how quickly the situation had gotten out of control. Her friends noticed the videos going viral. They texted her telling her to bathe immediately and go to a doctor. Chioma ignored their messages. She said she could handle it herself and that washing was unnecessary. She believed her money could fix anything, including public opinion. By afternoon, the smell in her apartment was unbearable. Insects were everywhere and some neighbors called the building manager to complain. Chioma's glamorous lifestyle was now overshadowed by the strong odor coming from her apartment. Ngozi begged Chioma to bathe and see a doctor. She warned her that the worms could cause serious health problems. Chioma refused. She said that she had money to hire anyone who wanted to help her, but she would not shower. She thought her pride and image were more important than her health. The social media backlash continued. Memes and jokes about Chioma spread across platforms. People shared videos of the worms on her skin. Even brands that had worked with her started removing their products from her posts. Her influencer deals were at risk. Despite the growing crisis, Chioma posted another video, smiling and acting confident. She tried to cover her neck with a designer scarf. She told her followers that she was part of a unique lifestyle and that critics did not understand her. Many viewers were not convinced and continued to make fun of her. By evening, Chioma felt exhausted. The itching and pain were worse than ever. She scratched her skin, making the worms more active. She started to feel scared but still refused to clean herself or seek help. Her fear was growing, but her pride kept her in denial. As she went to sleep, Chioma knew that the attention on social media was changing. People were no longer admiring her wealth and lifestyle. They were noticing her hygiene and health problems. The consequences of ignoring the signs were becoming clear, but she still did not act. The next morning Chioma woke up feeling extremely weak. Her body ached and the itching was unbearable. The red bumps had turned into open sores. The worms were now moving on her skin more aggressively. She could feel them crawling under her clothes. She looked at herself in the mirror. The sight was shocking, but she still refused to act. She told herself that it was temporary and that she could fix it later. She wanted to maintain her social media presence and feared admitting the problem publicly. Chioma got dressed in clean clothes, but she did not shower. She covered her arms with long sleeves and her neck with a scarf. She sprayed a large amount of perfume to hide the smell. Even with these efforts, the odor was strong and she could smell it herself for the first time. Ngozi warned her again. She said that the sores could become infected and that the worms were dangerous. Ngozi begged Chioma to bathe immediately and visit a doctor. Chioma ignored her and shouted that she was fine. She refused to listen, thinking that money could solve any problem. By afternoon, Chioma's strength was fading. Walking around the apartment felt exhausting. The sores on her arms and legs had spread, and some worms had even appeared near her hands and face. She realized that the infestation was no longer something she could hide completely. She decided to make a video for her followers. She wanted to appear confident, but during the filming she felt sharp pain whenever she moved. Her fans immediately noticed the worsening condition. Many commented that she looked sick and needed urgent help. Some viewers even warned her that her life was in danger. Chioma's friends called her repeatedly. They pleaded with her to go to a hospital or at least clean herself. Chioma refused every call. She said she did not want anyone to see her in this state. Her fear of public embarrassment was stronger than her fear of illness. By evening, the smell in the apartment was unbearable. Flies and insects were everywhere. The spoiled food on the counters added to the stench. Even Ngozi wore a mask while cleaning. She begged Chioma once more to take action. Chioma shouted angrily and told her to leave if she could not handle the smell. Chioma went to sleep that night exhausted. Her body was covered with sores and the worms continued to move. She felt pain everywhere, but she still refused to bathe. She was trapped in denial, thinking that ignoring the problem would make it disappear. By the end of the day, it was clear that Chioma's health was deteriorating rapidly. The worms had spread further and the risk of serious infection was high. Yet she remained in her apartment, proud and stubborn, refusing to accept that her lifestyle choices had led to this dangerous situation. The next morning, Chioma woke up feeling weaker than ever. Her body ached all over and the sores on her arms, legs and neck were bigger. The worms were moving more actively, some even visible under her clothes. She tried to ignore the pain and the itching, but it was impossible. She got out of bed and went to the kitchen. The smell in the apartment was now unbearable. The spoiled food on the counters and the rotting dishes made the air heavy. Flies and insects were everywhere. Even Chioma noticed the odor, but she refused to do anything about it. She told herself that it was normal and part of living alone. Ngozi begged Chioma to clean herself and the apartment. She warned that the infestation was spreading and that Chioma could become seriously ill. Chioma shouted that she was fine and sprayed even more perfume to cover the smell. She refused to listen, thinking money could fix everything later. By afternoon, Chioma attempted to film a new video for social media. She wanted to show her followers that she was still living a glamorous life. But during the recording, the pain in her arms and legs made it difficult to move. Some worms were clearly visible on her skin. Comments flooded in warning her to seek medical help. Chioma ignored the comments and tried to laugh it off. She told her fans it was part of her unique lifestyle. But deep down she felt scared. She knew that the worms and sores were serious, but her pride and fear of embarrassment prevented her from acting. Her friends tried to visit her in person, but the smell and the condition of the apartment were too much. They left messages on social media urging her to get help. Chioma read the messages but deleted them. She refused to admit that her situation was out of control. By evening, the apartment was completely overrun with flies. The air was thick with the smell of rot and decay. Ngozi had cleaned as much as she could, but the worms on Chioma's body continued to grow. Chioma was now too weak to move easily. Walking across the apartment left her tired and in pain. She went to sleep that night feeling trapped in her own body. The worms had spread further and the sores were worse. She realized that she could no longer hide her condition from herself or others. Her social media followers had turned from admiration to disgust. The lifestyle she had shown online was now being criticized. Chioma's pride kept her from acting. She refused to bathe or see a doctor. She thought that if she ignored the problem it would go away. But the infestation was growing and her health was deteriorating rapidly. She was losing control over her body, her apartment, and her online reputation. By the end of the day, Chioma lay in bed exhausted. She felt fear, pain, and weakness. The worms had taken over more of her body, and she could no longer deny that the consequences of her choices were real. Yet she still refused to take action, trapped in denial and pride. The next morning Chioma woke up feeling extremely weak. Her body ached and the pain from the sores on her arms, legs, and neck was unbearable. The worms were crawling everywhere on her skin. She could feel them moving under her clothes and even on her face. She tried to get out of bed but almost collapsed. Her body was too weak to support her. She realized that ignoring the problem for so long had made it worse than she could handle. The smell in the apartment was unbearable now even for her. The spoiled food, the dirty dishes, and the flies made the apartment feel unlivable. Ngozi begged her again to bathe and see a doctor immediately. She warned Chioma that if she did not act now, she could get a serious infection or worse. Chioma was scared but still refused. She said she would handle it later, but she knew she might not have another chance. By afternoon Chioma's friends called repeatedly. Some even tried to come over but the smell and flies made it impossible. The videos of her worms had gone viral, and people were now criticizing her openly online. Brands stopped working with her and her followers were leaving in large numbers. She realized that her wealth and social media fame were disappearing because of her hygiene. Chioma felt shame for the first time. She knew that ignoring her body had led to this situation. The worms were multiplying and the sores were spreading quickly. Her hands were covered in sores and scratches. Every movement caused pain, and she could no longer hide her condition. By evening Chioma felt dizzy and weak. She could barely stand or walk. The worms were everywhere on her body. She finally admitted to herself that she needed help. She told Ngozi to call a doctor immediately. Ngozi quickly agreed and prepared to take Chioma to the hospital. On the way to the hospital, Chioma felt scared and embarrassed. She knew people would judge her for letting her body reach this point. She thought about how her pride had kept her from seeking help sooner. Now she realized that her choices had put her health and life in serious danger. At the hospital, the doctors were shocked at Chioma's condition. They examined her skin and confirmed that the worms had caused a serious infestation. They began immediate treatment, cleaning the sores and removing the worms. Chioma felt pain during the treatment, but she knew it was necessary. While lying in the hospital bed, Chioma reflected on her actions. She realized that her wealth and social media fame were meaningless without health. She understood that taking care of herself should have been the priority. By night Chioma felt some relief. The doctors continued treatment, and the worms were slowly being removed. She knew it would take time to fully recover. She also knew that she had learned a hard lesson about pride, beauty, and ignoring basic hygiene. The next morning, Chioma woke up in the hospital bed feeling weak but alive. The doctors had treated most of the sores and removed many of the worms. Her body still ached and she had bandages on her arms, legs, and neck. She felt grateful that she had finally sought help, even if it was very late. Ngozi stayed by her side. She had been taking care of Chioma, making sure the doctors gave the right treatment. She reminded Chioma to take the medication on time and to follow all instructions. Chioma listened carefully. For the first time she realized that she could not handle everything alone, no matter how much money she had. During the day the doctors explained how serious her condition had been. They said that if she had waited longer, it could have become life-threatening. Chioma felt fear and shame. She admitted to herself that her pride and obsession with social media had almost destroyed her life. Chioma's phone was full of messages from friends, followers, and brands. Many people had criticized her online, but some offered support and encouragement. She realized that honesty and taking responsibility were more important than trying to appear perfect. She posted a short video thanking those who had helped her and explaining that she was learning to take care of her health. She started bathing regularly in the hospital. At first it felt strange to take care of her body after so long, but she quickly realized that it made her feel better physically and mentally. The sores were healing slowly, but every bath helped prevent new problems. She learned that basic hygiene was not optional, no matter how busy or wealthy she was. During the following days, Chioma reflected on her past actions. She understood that trying to maintain her image and social media fame had blinded her to real problems. Her obsession with appearances had caused serious damage to her health and relationships. She decided to change her habits permanently. Ngozi reminded her that recovery was not just physical but also mental. Chioma agreed. She began focusing on eating properly, staying hydrated, and keeping her living space clean. She also started writing down her thoughts and experiences to remind herself of the lessons she had learned. By the end of the week, Chioma could walk more easily, and her sores were healing well. The worms were completely gone. She felt stronger and more aware of how important it was to care for herself. She promised Ngozi and herself that she would never let pride and social media fame take priority over her health again. Chioma realized that recovery was a process. It would take time, patience, and effort, but she was ready to face it. She now understood that wealth, popularity, and luxury meant nothing if she did not take care of her body and mind first. A few weeks later, Chioma was fully out of the hospital. Her sores had healed and her skin was healthy again. She had regained her strength and the worms were completely gone. For the first time in months, she felt clean, healthy, and free from the fear and pain that had controlled her. Chioma moved back into her apartment, which Ngozi had cleaned thoroughly during her hospital stay. The apartment was spotless and the smell was gone. Chioma realized that keeping her living space clean was as important as keeping her body clean. She promised herself that she would never allow it to become dirty or unsafe again. She started a new daily routine. Every morning she bathed, brushed her teeth, and ate a healthy breakfast. She exercised lightly and made sure to drink enough water. She focused on hygiene, health, and self-care rather than worrying about social media fame or trying to impress others. Chioma also reflected on her online presence. She posted an honest video explaining her mistakes, how they affected her health, and what she had learned. She admitted that she had ignored basic hygiene out of pride and that it almost cost her her life. Her followers responded positively, respecting her honesty and vulnerability. With her social media accounts, Chioma began promoting health and hygiene rather than luxury and wealth. She shared tips for taking care of the body, keeping clean, and maintaining a healthy lifestyle. Slowly she regained some of her followers, but this time for the right reasons. She realized that respect and trust were more valuable than attention or viral fame. Chioma also rebuilt her friendships. She apologized to friends who had tried to help her and listened to their advice more carefully. She understood that pride and stubbornness had damaged relationships, and she was determined not to repeat the same mistakes. Ngozi continued to be her close friend and supporter, reminding her of the lessons she had learned. Every evening Chioma reflected on the events that had changed her life. She realized that ignoring her body and prioritizing appearances had been dangerous. The worms and sores had been a direct result of her choices. She promised herself that she would always take care of her health first, no matter the situation. As time passed, Chioma felt more confident and peaceful. She no longer feared social media judgment or the opinions of others. Her wealth was still there, but it no longer defined her. Her health, hygiene, and self-respect had become her true priorities. In the end, Chioma learned a simple but important lesson. Taking care of yourself is not optional. Pride, beauty, or money cannot replace basic hygiene and health. By facing the consequences of her choices, Chioma became a stronger, wiser, and healthier person. She finally smiled, feeling clean, healthy, and free. The nightmare was over and she was ready to live a better life.